And right now it's time for that time when we have our special guest. Tonight's special guest is Ray Columbus. Ray's brand new book has finally been released, so Roy joins us tonight to discuss the life and times of Ray Columbus from childhood to the year 1968. A great moment for Ray. He is now officially known as the Modfather. We welcome Ray Columbus as our special guest on The Beat Goes On. Ray Columbus.
Hello.
What an honor to have you in the studio.
Oh, it's nice to be back.
Did you ever think in those early days in Christchurch, a young boy, that you would become the Modfather?
I must admit I didn't, but at the same time, Terry Beale, who wrote She's a Mod in Manchester, and did, with his group, the Senators, did the original version, which we got it as a demo, acetate. He and I became very good friends over recent years on emails. I love emails. And we talked occasionally on the phone. And all of a sudden, when I was in the States in March, I got an email from one of his colleagues in the band saying Terry died.
Oh.
He was found in his chair at home about 3 days after he had died. I mean, isn't that a terrible thing? And
3 days after he died, he's still sitting in the chair.
He'd been sitting there.
Yeah.
And he'd already said to Lionel, he must have had some sort of illness. He said, I want you to contact Ray Columbus, this guy. This is his email and this is his phone number when I cark it, basically. So because I want him to write a eulogy for me. The name of my book is Modfather.
Yeah.
And that comes from your record, She's a Mod, because he had heard that I did a dance called the Mod something.
Yeah.
He said, have you got a dance called, everyone's talking about this taking over from the surf craze? And I said, yeah, the Mod's not. And he said, well, I've got a song for you.
How did you change it around? And what did it sound like when you first heard it?
It was very similar.
What did you put into it that they didn't?
We made it a little rockier. I think the guitar work, it's a wee bit sort of rockier. Otherwise, it's pretty similar because it was such a great little 2-minute record. In those days, a 2-minute record was heaven, so, or mana, really.
Now, Ray, you've whetted my appetite. The moment you started talking about She's a Mod, why don't we have a look at it?
She's a mod, she's a mod, she's a mod, yeah, 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 yeah. She's a mod, she's a mod, yeah, yeah. She's a mod, she's a mod. She won't change anymore. Girl, now listen to me. I've got something to say. If you talk and change anymore, I won't have the money to pay. Fella, she was once a drag, then the black one and the corner eye. After being a rocker for a week, she's a mod and I wonder why. She's a mod, she's a mod, she's a mod, yeah, 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 yeah. She's a mod, yeah, yeah, she's a mod, she's a mod. She won't change anymore.
What a great song. What a wonderful.
Yeah.
Look at the energy. What about the energy?
Oh, well, that was the mods. That was what attracted the song to us. It was osmosis.
Yeah.
The dance. We were already doing it for our first 2 records.
But you had
wanted
energy.
to-
Where did that energy come from?
Oh, I was a tap dancer, singer. And people have often said you must have had thyroid trouble because you had bug eyes and you must have ADHD or whatever it's called. And I said, no one ever worried about that. I've no idea. I always had lots of energy. Smoked like a train, and that's in the book too. It's nearly killed me twice now.
Now, you did smoke.
I was a heavy
yes.
smoker, and that's in there too. Was my biggest disease.
And you don't miss it at all now, do you?
Oh God, I can't stand it.
Yes. It's funny that, isn't it? We've all stopped smoking.
Oh, I was a total addict.
Really?
The only good thing about it is that I didn't get throat infections because smoking not only kills people, it kills bugs in the throat. And that was the only good thing about it. But I've fixed that now. I gargle hydrogen peroxide 3%, and that kills the bugs too.
Now, a book. Now,
I said to them I would only write my story if it ended in 1968. But I wanted to do flashes forward, of course, which is apparently not normally done, but that's typical of me.
From what age were you when you
Childhood,
first? Childhood, right through to 68.
Learning singing and dancing, which gave me my show business entertainer persona.
What have you tried to put in this book?
I wanted to really to pay homage to my mother and my dad, who put me on the stage and saw some sort of ham or entertainer or talent in me when I was a little boy, and then Mum carried out the dream.
I noticed in the book that you said you were devout. What did that mean? What did that mean?
I was a very devout Catholic. I was an altar boy. I sang in the choir.
Have you remained devout? In the Catholic sense?
I think I'm more God-fearing than I ever have been, but not as a Catholic. I actually believe now most of that is all man-made, from about the 13th century on.
As we get closer to the date that you and I are going to come to, what do you think is the afterlife? I know that. What's your thoughts and feelings on that?
Well, the jury's out on that. A dear old friend of mine who was a principal at my school, who's also mentioned once in the book, died recently, and I know he was, as he got older, he was a bit worried. I could tell he was. I think he devoted his life to religion and to teaching and whatever, but I think eventually everything is so open today. We read so much more. We're on the net. People can Twitter. People can Facebook. The whole digital world that we're in, that we're part of right now, everyone can just communicate. I mean, there's no hiding anymore. You can't lead a real. I mean, I refuse to belong to Facebook or Twitter and that, because I would rather write my thoughts down in a book now and then, or talk about it with you. I don't really want the whole world to be in on my private life. And David Letterman said the same thing once. When he was talking to Ashton Kutcher. He said, I can't imagine sort of sitting down saying, well, I had bacon and eggs for breakfast this morning with an orange juice, and Ashton said, it's fun, man. He said, how many tweets do you get? He said, about 5 million. I mean, it was unbelievable. And David Letterman and I were saying, I'm with you, David.
To write a book today, what does one have to do? Did you sit down and map it out, or did you have a ghostwriter? Or
I have a co-writer.
A co-writer.
And before me, she had done John Kerwin's book.
Yep.
Margie Thompson, who's a fabulous. It says Ray Columbus with Margie Thompson. She taped endless sessions with me.
Yeah.
And I do mean endless, because I get verbal diarrhea, and I sort of like talking, and it's been part of my therapy after my stroke to get better, because I wasn't very good for a long time. It's been 3 years now since my stroke.
Well, it's wonderful now. I mean, nobody would ever know that anything had ever happened.
Well, that was very kind, but I can still hear my slightly fatter tongue. I can feel the extra saliva in my mouth, just little things, but there are such little details that I know how lucky I am to be here, and I believe, so that's why I agreed to do the book finally. I thought I better put down a few things, because there are some things that are in the book that nobody knows about me. My brothers and sisters didn't know, my mother and father didn't know, because either I was ashamed of them or I was too private. So, but they're in there.
Did you say to yourself at some of those interviews or sessions, oh no, I won't go there? Did that happen often? You were absolutely...
Look,
you felt free to talk.
It's a very good question, because Linda, my wife, she's my second wife, of course, but I've learned so much from her, and we've been together 20 years now, when she first met me, she used to try and get me to open up. She would sit and look at me in the eyes and say, darling, how do you feel? And I'd say, good. She would say, no, but
how do you really feel?
And I'd go,
well,
good. But that's typical male, Kiwi male, I suppose. But she said to me, we were reading the transcripts of the proofs while we were in the States visiting our grandchildren and our daughter in March, and all the proofs were coming through. And she was reading them as I was reading them, and Linda's an avid reader. And halfway through it, she said to me, darling, I've got to tell you, I'm impressed. It's a very good book. And I said, Margie's done a fabulous job at capturing from all those tapes we made where I just talked about my life. She then took all of that down, I had it transcribed, and then wrote it in my vernacular exactly, and I'm sitting there reading it, believing I've read it, I've written it, because she did it so superbly. And she said I was an easy subject because I talked so much. In fact, the last 3 sessions, we were over budget. She said, we're over budget on the transcription tapes. And I said, oh, am I talking too much? She said, oh, I'm loving it because the last 2 sessions you shocked me. Have you got any more shocks today? And I said, I think I've another one. So, you know, she had a way of getting it out of me.
A shock a day.
After I got quite comfortable about talking about it, and when you, as you said earlier, approaching mortality, whenever it may be, we may live to, my dad lived to his 81st year, so, but Mum, sadly, was only 59. So we don't know, but I thought it's a good opportunity, it's a privilege in a way to put down. I wanted to explain to the world how my mum and dad made a big, I dedicate the book to Mum and Dad, and I've put in it, what have I put? To Cressy and Jack, my parents, who showed me the way and still do. And even though they've passed on, I still live by those Mum's 2 simple things. Don't lie, don't cheat, or no, actually take responsibility for what you do and don't ever lie. Now, I learned that when I was 6, and it's in the book. How I learned it is in the book, but that's basically the essence. And Dad always taught me as a young tap dancer, and so did the dancing teacher, said, the practice is the hard work, the show's fun.
Could be that you come on the program next when it's Sir Ray Columbus.
Oh, well, that's very kind. But,
Ray, you get 2 handshakes.
thanks very much.
That's our privilege to